Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to this week's edition of Stop, Look, and Listen. I'm your host, LaTroy Gardner. This week, we take a trip back to the 90s. She was crazy for that Mr. DJ. She was featured on Funkmaster Flex's 60 Minutes of Funk, Volume 1, with a hit Every Day and Every Night. She also dropped I'm Not Feeling You. Yeah, she's back, proving that dreams never die. We got
That's right.
the lovely
That's
Miss
right. Hey, y'all.
Yvette Michelle. Welcome to the show, Yvette.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. This is a pleasure.
Well, that's great. So like just take us back to the beginnings. You grew up in the Bronx and where I'm currently located, Miami. Two places with rich musical cultures. Just talk about how you fell in love with singing.
Awesome. Well, it starts as early as childhood. I can't remember a moment where I wasn't emulating some R&B diva or artist singing along to the radio or Soul Train. I mean, it's been part of my identity since I can remember. I joined the church as a child, though, and that really was what honed, well, the church choir, I should say. That's what honed my skill set. It wasn't like I had formal vocal coaching until I got to be a recording artist, but in the church, the desire or the passion was nurtured and developed. And from that point, I just knew that it needed to be part of my life in some significant way, not just a hobby per se. So early days. Yeah, I'm that typical kid that just knew it was me who was going to be the next Diana Ross.
Yeah. So we often hear, that R&B artists, soul artists get their start in the church. And then in some occasions it's like this battle to be able to sneak off and listen to secular music and, sing the songs that you hear on the radio without mom and dad catching you. Like, were you in a similar boat?
Oh, I was in a similar boat. My church was very strict. It was a very Pentecostal church, and we were strict. We had to swim in skirts. We went to the pool in our fully dressed. It was really, really strict. So I was rebellious in the sense that I chose this path. Yeah, I can go on.
Yeah, go ahead. How did you break free?
Well, I have a I had a strong identity. That's number one. I'm one of those folks where my family joined that path later in life. I wasn't born into the church, so to speak. So when I was 10, my mom and dad decided to try something different. So I had been exposed to the lifestyle of being, just in the world, I should say, using the nomenclature that's used in the church. I wasn't like some of my peers, they're born there. So it wasn't always the way we lived. So I had a reference point. And then I had other relatives that weren't devout. And so I had refuge, in telling my story to those that were not as dogmatic about being religious. But I lived in New York City, and there's always a pull, to do something different, unique, and be seen. And so there were competing priorities on both sides of my world. I was in church on Sunday and certain nights of the week, but I also had to go to school. I was entertaining myself with friends and family that weren't, like I said, had other interests, athletes. And so there was always an opportunity for me to look at across the cube wall and see what else was going on in the world and come up with my own ideas as to how I saw my life. And then at the same time, I realized I could sing. And, maybe this is something that'll help propel me and generations, behind me into a new life, because it's hard. Growing up in the inner city, everything needs to be an option to escape in some ways, not just education and traditional paths. So I threw it all in the pot to see exactly how it would shake out for me. And I'm really glad that I bet on myself, because it was just as much of a miracle as anyone else getting discovered. I mean, it wasn't like just because I lived there, I had a leg up. I'm competing with people who are coming to New York to seek their fortune, the ones who are natives that are living there, who've already been born into the industry through some grandfathered affiliation. So it wasn't just, oh, I happened to land on this lucky break. I worked toward it, but I definitely had to fight for it too. So, yeah, it was intentional.
So, like, how long did it take for you to, I guess, go through the hustle and bustle of developing your skills and trying to become known to the time that you got signed?
I would say at least a year or two. No, more than that. Maybe 4 years altogether because I had the desire, got married, had children, and they were 2 and 4 when I got my record deal. So in that space of time, I'm working a corporate job. I'm a wife, a mother, and secretly singing at night with my homegirl who's got a studio and a drum machine in her apartment. And then going to open mic nights with her and her friends who are open with it. I'm the sneaky one who can sing better than everybody. And they're out on Tuesdays down in the village auditioning and doing shows. And I join in when I can. And so from those moments and my crew encouraging me, yeah, yeah, go ahead. You got this. You're the best one. So I eventually, within 2 or 3 years, found my way with the right courage, the right amount of, I guess, fortitude to tell somebody that I'm trying to do this. That was the first step, exposing myself outside of my inner circle. I probably would have happened sooner if I was less afraid to share, but I wasn't confident enough at that time. So yeah, it wasn't overnight. It wasn't overnight. I was beating the bushes trying to find somebody to produce me for a minute. I wanted my demo to be complete before I told anybody. I had all these check boxes that didn't really matter. When I met Funkmaster Flex, I had one song completed on that demo and he was fine with it. So overthinking, if there was a lesson, is something that you really can't always do because it can be detrimental to the progress, analysis paralysis, trying to perfection over progress. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
it took a little while, but it wasn't. But in hindsight, I know I could have made it happen faster if I was more aggressive, I should say.
Right. So, like, obviously during that time we were still in um the fusion of hip hop and R&B, and people like Mary and Faith and countless others like in that New York metropolitan area, with that similar sound. Was that the sound that you were creating before you got signed to Flex, or did it develop after the fact?
It developed after the fact. I was more traditional R&B, disco-ish dance. I wanted to do house music. I wanted R&B as well, but I was really focused on trying to be different. Mary, I will say, showed me, because she was a hometown girl, that it was possible to be accepted in the industry because we all were aligning ourselves to the traditional divas, the Shaka Khans, Anita Bakers, who were polished in gowns, formal, powerhouse vocalists. And she emerged with talent that wasn't so polished and still won. And so it gave me the confidence at that point when I got the record deal to explore different genres. Now, through collaboration with Flex, I ended up primarily in the R&B and hip hop space. It was what was hot then, and that was what the people wanted. So that's what we did. But there was a compromise. All my songs were club ready, and it kind of gave me that foot in the water with not house music, but dance music, I should say, that I was seeking. So I was always very eclectic in my tastes, but I wanted there to be an element of funk and house music involved in my sound because I was aiming for the audience that Crystal Waters and CeCe Peniston had at the time, Le Boucher, and those artists of the 90s that really put house music on the map.
All right. So you signed to Flex, Obviously, he's a legendary DJ. Been on Hot 97 for over 30 years. Um, did you feel like that was an advantage being signed to somebody that was on the radio, also DJing in the hottest nightclubs, like kind of giving you an advantage of getting your music heard?
Not initially. Initially, because he was brand new at the radio station, so I didn't know if he would have the ability to really push the record that he was behind. I didn't know if it was double dipping or something that would be accepted by the station to promote his own work. So I was hoping to create it so it'll stand on its own merit. But I will say that once we got going, he was relentless. The record wasn't even pressed before he was playing it. And that definitely added to the perception or the reception that I received as an artist. It allowed people to know who I was. It made them curious about who I was, even if they didn't know. And it pushed the record out there. And that was what we really wanted. The record labels back then were still, marching down traditional paths, payola, paying for the records to be spun. I didn't really have that. Flex had a record pool, a street team, and he was on the radio. Promotion was covered, in my opinion. So, yeah, I had a sense, but I wasn't banking on that as the way to win.
Yeah. All right. Well, every day and every night.
You still got yours? Oh my God, you're a real fan.
It's track
Wow.
It's track number one, and this CD has everybody on there. Like I can just run through Redman and Meth, Q-Tip, Busta, Fugees, E Double, Keith Murray, Sadat X, KRS, and you were the lead single on this record.
I was the only girl in the room with many of the events too.
So like with Every Day and Every Night, was it based on a true story?
It was. I was in the throes of a relationship that was on the rocks. I went to a club and met a guy that caught my eye. He was my muse for the DJ. And it was kind of, I needed to tap into a moment where I was, interested in somebody that I really couldn't really get my hands on. And I pictured him, and we're still friends today, as a matter of fact. It's ironic. But yes, that was a true story. All of my songs were really drawn off of my experiences, although limited at that time. I was young. I had married early. I married right after high school. So, and then being involved in the church, I was less outgoing about being, exposing myself. Even my personal opinions were kind of sheltered. But I tapped into something, that was deep within, and just tried to share a piece of myself in each of those songs. Some of them were relationship based, and some of them were just about having fun. And so, yeah, I was trying my best to give the, impression of who I was in that moment. A girl's girl, somebody that doesn't take any mess, stands on business, likes to have fun, can love, but is selective. Who I am today.
Uh-huh. Yeah, you had let those Pentecostal days and the going to the pool in dresses.
In my dresses.
You left that behind because you were shooting your shot heavy at this DJ.
This is my chance, 8 million stories. This moment, and plus I had something to prove to my ex-husband. I can make it without you.
Uh-huh.
And that was and I had kids. There were lots of real life things that pushed me to give this my all. And I'm really glad that I did.
Did the dream cost you your marriage? Or
it did not. It was actually on the rocks at the start of it, but I will say that my ex-husband was my first producer. He was part of the church. He was the pastor's son, and he lived that lifestyle from birth. So he was a hellified musician. He could play by ear, and he and I bonded on that, sneaking along to the side and singing secular music. He was my producer. So when I got my record deal, even despite the challenges that we had as a couple, I dedicated my album to him because he opened up that door for me to help me see me and what I could do. And so I have to be honest, I owe him that. You know what I mean? That sort of thanks, I should say. But no, the marriage was on its way down, and we became really good friends as a result. I think I gained a little credibility in his mind as being independent and resourceful. And so we became co-parents and friends. So yeah, it worked out, but he was definitely the subject matter for all my angry at you love songs. I will say, poor thing.
I'm sure. I mean, I think he's forgiven you at this point.
Hope so. Yeah, we're way past it.
Right. How long did it take, for, after the single took off, um, for you to start working on My Dream?
A year. So we completed Every Day and Every Night in '95. It was out on the airwaves at the end of that year. I got my record deal early '96, and I'm promoting. Every day and every night, performing, doing appearances, and then Flex approaches me with the opportunity to sign me to Loud Records in '96, and I immediately start recording I'm Not Feeling You, because he was ready for Mixtape Volume 2, and that was the chart single for that album. So yeah, very fast, very fast. I still think back and wonder how I managed to keep all the balls in the air, because life changed for me immediately once I got that first song.
Yeah. What was the timing as far as I'm Not Feeling You to Lil Kim's Big Momma Thing?
Well, legends has it that I was first and that somebody stole our ideas from barbershop talk, and just the fact that it was not easy to document who's doing what, who's selling what. I think Flex was working with the same producer that Lil Kim's producer was working with, or A&R was working with. Apparently, Flex's advantages as a DJ on the radio is what allowed my record to be heard first, but it wasn't released as a product before Kim's. So the buying audience felt hers was first. But if you were a New Yorker, you knew mine was produced and mastered and released first on a white label. And then when my album was ready, or his album was ready, it was incorporated into his album. So a little bit of semantics, logistics, but technically I was first.
Right. Yeah, because I mean that happened several times in that era, like with Tupac, All Eyes on Me, and Nas's
Yeah.
Street Dreams, and then even with Raz Kaz and who was it, Jadakiss, having the
That's right.
same beat. So
The
like,
same beat. But that
like
wasn't really a bad thing, because we were all recycling everybody's beats. Remember, Biggie did his demo on existing beats. So
uh-huh.
it kind of, it helped my song. Let's be clear. Kim was blowing up at that time, and she, the mistake or the fact that I could mix my song in and hers, it just gave me more exposure on the DJ sets across the country. So I can't complain. Shout out to Kim. She's another legend in this game.
Yep, and it sampled the person behind me, Sylvester.
Oh yeah. Who's that? Sylvester, yes. Sylvester, the Jones Girls. We definitely dug in the crates for some really good samples. I was one at that time, samples were frowned upon by the true artists. Nobody really wanted samples unless they were hip hop. And so I had to adjust. I wanted to be known as a singer, not necessarily a beat kid singer. You know what I mean? So I fought back a lot. And when I lost, I made sure that the samples we got were the kind that I would love, And so a lot of the songs on my album were handpicked. Flex and I worked through it to make sure that everybody was happy, but it also that it represented the time and the feeling that he expected to convey. Nobody really wanted me to be the new Mary J. Blige, but it needed to have that same representative element to show that I'm from New York City. I'm from the Bronx. I'm representing the birth of hip hop, in my presentation. And I am really proud of that today. He was very insightful, and it has paid dividends for me personally.
I read somewhere that I'm Not Feeling You is kind of like a callback to Orange Juice Jones's The Rain. I know at the end you're kind of saying I'm not feeling you. Like you're pretty much rejecting somebody. Like is that a true story
That
as
was
well?
it. That's it. That was the concept. We wanted something humorous. We wanted something that utilized slang that was current. And he was on the radio constantly rating songs. It might have even been a segment that he had where he had to, like a make it or break it, where he would say, "Are y'all feeling this? I'm not feeling this. I'm not feeling that." And so it was popular to say that at the time. And he wanted it to be relevant because everything ultimately was going to end up on his show. So we collaborated on that, and we referenced Orange Juice Jones. We had Mother Superior. She was a burgeoning rapper at the time. Do the actual speaking piece at the end. People always thought that was me,
Oh,
but it
really?
wasn't. But it was in the same pattern of his diss record, "Walking in the Rain,"
Mm-hmm.
intentionally, I should say.
Cool. Like with my dream, um, you pretty much it didn't it didn't like last as long as it should have. Obviously you had DJ Keep Playing produced by Full Force. Um, but it just seemed like the momentum had stalled at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Like what was that sense on your end as far as, yo, we got I'm Not Feeling You, it's a hit. DJ keep playing was strong too, but
Keep
DJ keep
falling. That's exactly what happened.
yeah, it kept falling, but it was like you felt like the label gave up too soon. Like, how did you
I
feel
think that
about it?
there was some. I don't think they knew what to do with me. We were all learning. Someone said no one knew what they were doing, Yvette. I think that it was just a crowded market. Everyone's trying to find the hit. We went back and forth picking that first single 3 times. It wasn't supposed to be DJ Keep Playing. I didn't want another DJ song. I felt like every song I had kind of was a banner for Flex in a way, and I wanted something that really showcased my identity, separate from his, protege. And that was a pain point for me. So it did, what you're perceiving was actually true. The momentum died a little bit. Marketing was also another issue. I wasn't on RCA proper, and Loud Records was an indie label still finding its way. They had really big acts, hip hop acts, Mobb Deep and Wu Tang exhibit. And hip hop at the time was not a hands-on type of genre. You didn't need to groom, mold, craft, and guide like R&B. There wasn't the type of expense related to hip hop at that time that was related to R&B in the presentation of an artist. So I was constantly trying to showcase the differences in what my project required versus theirs. And I think some of that got lost in translation, perhaps. But yeah, it was a little bit of a disappointment that I could not keep that momentum going. I'm Not Feeling You went gold within weeks, and subsequently the mixtape did. But when I released my album, I didn't hit the numbers, and so it's always been a question. But it's always it's a roll of the dice. Even still, no one really has guarantees.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned Loud Records and Mobb Deep and Wu Tang and Big Pun and Raekwon and Exhibit, Alcoholics, um, just a laundry list of legends. Like it seemed like that was a perfect setup, especially with the type of music that you and Flex was creating at the time. That um, Steve Rifkin and the label would make sure that you were featured on some of these other projects
I know.
that was coming out, like the Wu Tang Forever and um, Yeah Baby, Big Pun's last album, and like some of the other projects, just to make sure that you stayed in the spotlight while rubbing shoulders with these legends.
You're reading my mind. I don't know what happened there. I know that some of it might have been due to the artists themselves wanting to align with the biggest selling ticket at the time. And I was still emerging. In some cases, there was one instance where Ghost was looking at me to do a song, but he chose Mary. So those are fair things. I can't complain that he wanted the hottest selling artist at the time to be the one instead of me. I wasn't the hottest. So, and you can't knock that. But I do agree with you. There were times where I could see openings for myself to sort of establish a relationship with the artists, the R&B, I'm sorry, the hip hop acts that were on the label in a working fashion, and it didn't really happen. I was hoping to have some sort of support shepherding that process, but I did become successful in finding my own way. I had that song with OC, which is still doing well, Far From Yours. And yes, that's a classic right there. I'm trying to get him to get on the road with me now, but
Hmm.
he's not. He's done with this.
Oh, I didn't know that. I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
let's get into
yeah,
that. Yeah, like you
yeah.
mentioned, Far From Yours, OC, one of my favorites, off of the Jules, his second album.
Shout out to Premiere for the production.
How did that collaboration come about?
They sought me out. So I was actually doing well on a promo run with I'm Not Feeling You. At that moment, I was hot. It was, everything was, the stars were aligned. And I believe that my team had been soliciting my availability and my interest in collaborating. And when they reached out, we grabbed it because I knew he was respected on the underground. To me, he may not have had the numbers that a Wu-Tang Clan had, but he, in terms of street credibility, was hitting the mark, and I wanted part of that. So I embraced it, and we did a great video with a really renowned director, Nick Quested, and he was doing everybody's videos at the time. So OC kind of gave me a glimpse into what a big project looks like and how a real big video is done. So I'm really forever grateful for them seeking me out and asking for me to participate. I perform that song even in the small tidbit that I do on every show because it's so well loved. So yeah.
Yeah, so like I'm still shocked that OC is like, forget this.
Yeah, he said he's getting, his interest has been piqued, but he's not yet ready to come back out full steam. But I tell you, it's not one show that I do where somebody either says, "When we gonna see you in OC?" And I'm like, I don't know. I'm
Uh-huh.
working on it.
Yeah.
So,
All right,
yeah.
so like just tell me about, I guess, that point where your dream turned into a nightmare.
Okay. Well, like I mentioned, it was a numbers game. As much as we were having fun and it was kind of loose and we were creative and flowing, the record label was counting widgets. If you don't sell enough or if you don't move enough units, are you a worthwhile investment? And that's fair. Apparently, I didn't do well enough in my first week, and that was what I was told by my legal representative. I was on my way home from a tour, and it was at that point in the contract where option 2, the second year of the agreement, was coming up for renewal, and it wasn't selected. So I immediately tried to pivot by selling myself to a new group of promoters, producers, to try to get some traction, get another record deal. I had just signed with new management, and they reassured me that this was just a blip on the radar. We could get a deal with another label. But when I started presenting myself, the first question people had was, "Well, what do you have? What do you have new?" And my album was 6 months old, but it showed me that the industry didn't regard it as quality or enough. It wasn't representative of what they felt they needed to hear to make a move. And that was heartbreaking because I'm like, what do I have? I got an album. This is me. Well, what else you got? So imagine processing that and thinking that you've done a good thing, and then finally getting the true opinions of the public, the deciding public. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It humbled me to a point where it almost made me not want to try. And then when I did try, when I would, accept opportunities or potential opportunities, try to build relationships, I just kept hitting brick walls. Either the synergies weren't right, the deal wasn't right, or it didn't have any advantages long term for me. And I didn't necessarily need guarantees, but it wasn't as good as what I left. So why would I sign, something new? So it just evolved into a waiting game for the right opportunity, and it never came. And so I just decided to move on and live my life. It was a lot harder than I'm making it sound because it didn't happen quickly. And there were many, many weeks and months that I held on thinking my break is about to come. I just need to be patient. But when the money starts running out, you have to be realistic. And, out of sight sometimes is out of mind. So I moved on and tried to rebuild myself in a different way and raise my family, and then reinvent. But I would always keep an ear to the ground, trying to listen out for the next possible opportunity. And that occurred repeatedly over 25 years. I would think I have a lead, follow up, dead end. Another lead, follow up, dead end. And I thought I was blacklisted at some point because I'm like, this is crazy. I was just on top yesterday. But that's the evolving nature of the music business. And that was a new lesson, because you have to realize I was signed within a year of my first record. I didn't have a mentor in the industry to tell me this is how it works. Toughen up, thicken your skin. All of this was happening in rapid fire motion, and it was over. It started and ended within a period of under 3 years. So, I didn't even have a chance to process half the stuff that was happening to me as it was happening. In hindsight, I am so grateful for having been forced to stop, take note, try something different, reestablish myself as a parent, and have a career to fall back on, and now be able to comfortably approach it again with an understanding of who I am and where I fit. So nothing is by mistake. I think it was all, divine.
Right.
Dr. Todd McLean provides periodontal and dental implant services in 2 convenient locations. They offer over a decade of experience treating patients, and appointments can even be scheduled in the evenings, weekends, or early mornings. Give them a call in Chapel Hill at 919-537-9774 or in Durham at 919-484-8338, or visit them online at gumsandimplants.org.
So I always love in these conversations, like the pivot portion of the conversation. I interviewed Sybil last month, and she pivoted as well, and she became a teacher in North Carolina.
I love her.
Yeah. Amazing conversation, inspiring. And your story is similar as far as the pivot and you getting involved in the tech world and business. Like just talk about that, because there's so many musicians that just never give up. They'll get rich or die trying, like 50 Cent would say. They're not.
I had someone tell me I didn't love it enough because I didn't keep trying, but I had my girls, and I could not continue to have them feel instability. If you're surviving off that industry, good for you. If you can take the ups and downs. I didn't have a husband, I didn't have a backup system. I was a single parent, and I needed to make it happen. I was also, supporting my parents in a sense that they're aging. I need to be available for them. So there were a lot of real life components that caused me to take stock of my life and what it is that I needed to do. And the music had a place, but if it wasn't producing any funding, there wasn't anything I could do for a long period of time to constantly pour my resources into it and not get anything back. So the pivot was about me surviving and living the same type of lifestyle. Comfortable, ability to travel, my own boss. Those were my criteria, something that is not accessible to everybody. The internet was just emerging in 98. www was starting to pop up on everybody's logos. The cell phones were just becoming a commonplace thing. We were still on flip phones at that time, almost, right? So I chose technology because I wanted to be exclusive in the way that I felt exclusive as an R&B artist. And I just dove in. I knew there was writing on the wall that it was our future, obviously, because I was traveling around the world. Certain countries were farther advanced than we were in embracing the internet. And I knew that if America was following suit, that this was going to be the new way of living. And those were the seeds that I planted. But it was really in a sense of me trying to beat my own high score in a different industry, be good at something else, equally as hard to do, you know? And I'm glad that I put my chips on that in hindsight, because it's sustained me. It's allowed me to become a lifelong learner. It's challenged me. I still have a sense of exclusivity. Even as savvy and as technology driven as the world is today, you'd be surprised how, you know, some of this stuff goes over folks' heads. Some really smart people still don't understand the fundamentals of software development. And so I really am grateful for that. And it's allowed me the freedom to do other things. I'm a remote worker. I have never worked in an office in the last 12, almost 20 years. It's been virtual. I've been on the cutting edge of what's new and up and coming for the rest of the world. And it's just made me think differently about possibilities. And that's kind of why I'm here now. I have the freedom, the flexibility. The funding is not necessarily a deterrent. And I can leverage technology because I understand it to be my own one-stop shop artist. So even if this is just for entertainment purposes only and not monetized, I'm able to service myself. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where we are. I just took one lead from a colleague that's like, you should really try to come back. The 90s are being looked upon again. And I followed it by using the social media network to promote myself. And, I'm still following breadcrumbs. I still don't have a firm blueprint, but I feel that I cannot not say or give credence to my time in corporate America as a period that groomed me. So also for this, where we are today, managing myself, managing projects, managing my, situation has all been relative to what I learned as a technology subject matter expert and leading teams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but like you said, you pivoted and, been successful in the tech world. I've worked in the tech world as well the last 4 years. So, I mean, I totally am on board with you with this remote lifestyle. It's nothing like it.
Yeah,
but
nothing.
But it's like, I'm sure through these, the 20, 25 years of thinking you're back following your dream and, being rejected or not being able to fully pursue it the way that you would like, there had to have been some doubt that crept in whether or not
always. Oh yeah,
this dream would ever resurface. But like you said, now we're here. Like, what makes you?
I'm still pinching
What makes
myself.
you ready today? What makes you ready now?
I think, in hindsight, timing is everything. I would say the alignment of the occurrences in my life, where I am as an individual, fewer responsibilities, more autonomy, just in general, not having children in the house, not having responsibilities to lead a team of people at home is number one. I don't think the universe wanted me to try to tackle this all at once. I believe that I needed this space and bandwidth mentally to think. So that was not something I chose, because I've been chasing this thing since the day I left. It's never been a moment where I haven't followed a lead from the most random offer. I will pursue it until it just hits the dead end wall. So I can't say that I didn't try, but things opened up when my life opened up and I had fewer competing priorities, I should say. The look back in terms of the 90s artists having a resurgence, that was key. Reconnecting with people after COVID, when everybody was just happy to be alive and collaborative. That was another trigger. I ran into people from New York when living in Atlanta that relocated to start over after COVID, who were in the music business and encouraging. I had been around all techie corporate people up to then, and family and friends who were not really ambitious in that way. And so I wasn't really inspired to really chase it until I got around people who I witnessed making a life out of it, who reminded me that it can be a career again. So it was a affiliation, association, the timing of it all, the trends in the industry and music, all of it came together in a perfect storm. I'm still saying to myself, wow, look at this. Because even when I intentionally began to pursue it 4 years ago, and it has been about 4 years from the point in time where I said, let me try this, to where we are now. I didn't have a plan that was ironed out letter by letter. It was, let me go to this party. Let me talk to this DJ. Let me post this picture. Let me reach out to that person and ask some pointed questions and see what they're working on, and let them talk about themselves so I can figure out how things work today. It was an acceptance of me wanting to learn and become a student too. I had to put ego aside and recognize that I was starting over. So all of those things in a perfect, blender are what position me for right now. And I am not only in hindsight able to see the beauty and the perfection in it all, because I am really firing on all cylinders right now. I feel like I'm confident. I know how to present myself. I know how to have conversations that are tough. I can receive feedback. I'm a lot more mature than I was back then. So no doesn't necessarily mean all bets are off. I just have to find another angle. And I'm not necessarily getting rejection either, like I anticipated, but I was armored up for it. So God is good. That's all I can say. It was his timing, and I'm trusting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can honestly say I've been looking to get you on this show for a long time.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you reach out directly before I got with the PR people?
I think it was, well, I don't like to get in people's DMs on Instagram. I like to
go through formal channels. Yeah. I understand.
I like formal channels, or to be able to, I prefer LinkedIn personally over Instagram. I feel like that shows that I'm serious. It's more of a professional platform. So,
I've been keeping the world separately. So my work life has not been overlapping on social media with this persona. Because honestly, I do like keeping it separate, but I don't know how long that would last. So I'm sort of at that point now where I'm deciding how to present myself holistically, but I am bringing my whole self to the music. I will say that. It's been great to just relax and not have to hide that I am multifaceted,
Yeah.
It's like having to hide that you were a mom or you couldn't have a baby back in the day because it might devalue your perception as an artist. It's a similar thing when you have a regular job. Sometimes it's like, oh, are you really worth the investment? I need to put my chips on somebody that believes, Those are maybe outdated mindsets now, but those mindsets definitely existed in the past. So to be free of that today is really great. To not have to worry about it because the industry's shifted. Everybody's got multiple hustles is a nice thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we all have to have them with this economy. The gas is $4.
Yeah.
What's going on? I know it's crazy for you down in Florida.
Yeah, it's like it's $4.70. $4.70 a gallon. So and of course, real estate is nuts.
Yeah, yes. Terrible. So yeah, nobody's shunning me for having a day job.
No,
and a lot of us do, So different times. And then the age thing. We're all older now. There are people who I can talk to now who I couldn't even get in the room with, but we're all humbled by the vulnerability of living life and not really knowing what's next.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. I am really enjoying this round a lot more than the first one.
All right. Well, tell us about Mr. DJ.
Well, Mr. DJ is a phenomenal story of me being discovered. So I was reached out to for a sample. And we went through the motions of looking to get the sample approved by Sony, where my catalog still sits. And it was a little convoluted. So we decided to simplify things, and I re-sang it, and it transformed the opportunity into a collaboration versus, just a sample being used that belonged to me and Flex. I'm so very grateful. The gentleman who discovered me or in this new space, is a DJ based out of London, DJ Fenn. Shout out to Fenn. He posted an idea or concept with this mix on SoundCloud, and it caught the attention of Defected Records, one of the largest, if not the largest, dance label in UK. And I, with everything going on, I thought it was spam. As the technologist I am, didn't recognize the email. Legitimate, right? Because I'm a one-man band, like you said. People were hitting me up in DMs. I'm trying to figure out who's legit, who's a bot. So I didn't know at first, and then I pursued it. I just got a lawyer, and we talked through it. And this has been the best re-entry point, even though I had been performing and back on the scene up until the offer. I feel like this is the real restart. This gives me something tangible to talk about. It gives me an opportunity to showcase that I'm more than just an R&B artist or a hip hop artist. And it allows me to show gratitude and allegiance to the European market that has sustained me all these years. I have to be quite honest. My royalties are not that great in the US versus overseas. And so I am able to go over there now and pick up a show like nothing, because I'm still respected and loved. And that is immeasurable in my mind. The loyalty that they have with the artists that they love is just phenomenal. So anyway, that's the short story, but it's been great. We're in the throes of marketing the record. It's a different process than with Loud, than it was in the 90s, I should say. Very much more internet-based, TikTok-based, and Instagram. And so I'm getting used to that. But at the end of the day, it's still basic street team tactics. So not too far off. It's just a different vehicle.
Yeah, I could definitely see myself flying back to Barcelona and.
Oh man, this is Ibiza music, okay? That's what I'm trying to do. Dance all night, and I just, I love the fact that Barbara Tucker, Crystal Waters, CeCe Peniston, they're still in demand, and that is what it's about. I don't necessarily have to have a new record. I just want to work. I just want to perform and sing and have a good time, making crowds happy. My demographic, my audience has grown up with me. We are having a good old time at these shows. It's just, and I didn't expect to have that kind of joy from it. I wanted to prove that I still could do it. But once I got into the flow, I'm like, wow, I need this in my life. This gives me pleasure.
Uh-huh.
That's kind of where we're at. It sounds cheeky, but it's true.
Nah, I think it's an amazing story as far as the perseverance and like never giving up on that dream and allowing your classics to breathe and
Yes,
and resurface.
that's a good point. That's a good way to put it. Because I was always torn as to whether I should try again. Do I go out on top and keep my standing where it is? I don't want to mess nothing up with a sophomore attempt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's kind of been my internal, battle, but I'm all for it. At this point, I'm discovering so many people who are so great on the internet who are unknowns, and I'm like, let me throw my hat in the ring. What do I have to lose? I have a head start with being known, but doesn't make me any better than anybody else who's just discovered today. I'm a fan of so many people who are just internet stars. And I'm just grateful for that vehicle, because how would we have discovered some of this talent? Even comedians, you know what I mean? So it's all good. It's all good. And I'm jumping into the fray. There's no real deterrent or negative that I can see. It's just, you put in what you get out of it. It's not more hard. It's simple.
Mm-hmm. And I saw that you're performing with the 90s girls, people like Monifa and Miss Jones, who like just her returning to the radio a few years ago was something that I was extremely happy for, because
me too.
I
So was I.
I had a huge crush on her.
Did you? She's so great. That's my girl. We're actually interviewing tomorrow morning. Shout out to Jonesy. Jonesy leaving radio is a blessing. Sometimes you don't see it until after the fact, but she was an asset to them, no question. But her Pink Champs podcast is going to blow up. It is really, really good. She doesn't have the barriers that exist with terrestrial radio. She can talk about whatever she wants to, and she's a wealth of knowledge and insight. So I'm excited for her. I can't wait to talk to her in the morning. Ed Lover, all of the old school greats that shaped New York radio will forever hold a place in my heart. Shout out to Angie Martinez as well. But all of them are like cousins in my mind. You know, we came up together. I respect their hustle, and I would do anything for them, you know. So Jonesy got us all together for 90s Girls events. They were sold out shows every single time. They're actually going to Dominican Republic this year. I'm not able to make that trip because I have a different commitment, but she keeps the girls working. I call us the B-sides.
Gina Thompson and Allure.
Gina Thompson, Allure,
we've had them on a few times.
Yeah.
Change of Faces as well.
Change of Faces hasn't been on this run, but I've worked with them as well. Great girls. Shout out to Sharice and Reefy. They've given me a lot of insights to help me navigate my way amongst the promoter community and to get shows, giving me insights into the way things work. So you'd be surprised. Once the makeup is wiped off, everybody's a real person, and we're just trying to stay afloat. So that Jonesy and, the collaborations with the artists themselves as I perform with them and the friendships we're developing has been the highlight of this go round, because I was working so much. I didn't have time to make friends in the 90s. I didn't go to the parties. I had small kids. I had to get home after the show. So now I'm really experiencing it, and I can't complain. It's great.
All right. What's something about you that people will find most surprising?
That I'm a nerd, that I don't watch TV. I rather read. Isn't that terrible? I miss out on all the stuff until it wins an Oscar, and then I'll go watch it.
Well, I mean,
you know what? I've always been able to figure out the endings. Maybe I'm on the spectrum. I don't know, but I just feel like I can't sit still long enough to fully, commit. But I love audiobooks, and I will pay for 3 subscriptions just to listen to books back to back to back. And it has been an obsession. So I don't know. I'm more of a techie than a TVer, if that makes sense.
Okay. What do you see when you look in the mirror?
An intelligent, strong woman. Those are the things that I pride myself by. Being smart and being strong. I think some of that has to be relative to growing up in New York City. And then the other piece is I am in a family of educators. So my family always saw this music thing as a hobby. They wanted me to get my degrees. Okay, well, what you gonna do with, you know what I mean? So teachers, principals, administrators, I've always had that competing priority to be the smart kid. And so I'm grateful for that. I used to hide my intelligence, wanting to be down and hip. But now I'm touting it as my calling card. So those are the things I think people don't know, but I love to talk about.
Yeah. So, do you learn more from your wins or your losses?
Losses.
Okay.
Losses. Because the wins come easily, and you don't really reflect on how you got there all the time. Not all the time. Not all the wins, but I lament over my losses because I'm a perfectionist. And so the analysis that goes into that is what makes me, I guess, pulls out the gems, because I'm not necessarily raking my wins over the coals the same way to find the issues, the errors, the areas where I made the wrong step, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I saw this as a failure for years. I kept calling it my failure, the inability to maintain a consistent career in the music industry. And I was constantly told to reframe that. And I finally have been able to do that. So this is a healing journey for me too, LaTroy. It's not just me coming back out. It's me reframing the way I saw myself, the way I saw this thing happen, and how I see the future. It's kind of simple.
Yeah. So, the future, what's next? Are you going to drop a new album? Are you going to are DJs still gonna be your muse, or are you gonna have
Maybe.
another one?
Probably so.
Software
I'm not
engineers
doing.
are gonna be your muse.
No, I'll keep one in my back pocket because ultimately I'm gonna get me an app that can allow me to self-service. But no, I think so. I think DJs will continue to be a central focal point of my music because I see them as the what did you call it? The underground source of the music. That's kind of the fastest path to the club. Like there are things I can do in the digital space to put the word out there, but I still like analog practices in some ways. So I think that will be retained. What was the other part of your question? You said what is in the future? Okay, the other thing is experimentation. So I'm working with different producers. I'm trying to find all of the lanes where I fit. I'm working with a producer who does sync music. So I'm doing production and writing for songs that may not land on a project that I own. They may be handed off to a movie or a play. That's exciting because it takes me out of my comfort zone and it allows me to put on a persona that may not necessarily be comfortable, but still produce an output. I'm doing dub plate recordings, which is sort of like an unofficial kudos or a reward that artists get when they've reached a certain point. They become this attraction to the Caribbean community to do the remixes, and I'm doing a lot of those, and I didn't even know that was a thing. So I'm working with dub plate brokers and trying to help build an awareness around that. So I'm helping my sisters in song make a few extra dollars here and there where I can. That's just one example, but I'm sort of like a broker. As I learn something, I take it back to home base and then I try to spread love. That's a new role that I'm playing. And then with house music itself, I'm expanding my horizons. I'm working with producers overseas, different ways of producing. I'm doing some of my own work with AI, trying to experiment and see if I can get concepts on paper just to help the process along. So experimentation would be the umbrella statement, trying different things. And last but not least, writing. So I am not talking about songwriting, but writing an article. I've been offered an opportunity to contribute to newsletters, or several opportunities to contribute to newsletters and podcasts because of my experiences, my communication style, and the fact that I love to learn and share. So I'm leveraging my celebrity for all kinds of things, perhaps even getting my children's children involved in modeling and acting. I mean, we've got talent that's trickling down into my downline. I may be able to help my grandchildren in some way. Who knows? But the at this point, the opportunities are flowing in. I'm not turning my nose up to anything, and I'm investigating them all just to see if there is an opportunity that fits. It's a great period to be in. I'm excited.
I'm happy for you.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me a chance to talk about it.
Oh, this is great. Like plug Mr. DJ again, where we can find it,
check
where
me out.
We can find you on social media, the whole nine.
Check me out on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Threads. Yeah, I think that's it. Not Twitter, TikTok. Excuse me, TikTok. Gosh, I'm dating myself now, right? So I'm gonna edit this part.
Nah, we're gonna keep it.
Dear Yvette Michelle on all platforms, as if you're writing a letter, DeaRyvette Michelle. Check me out, y'all. I still run my own socials, so you may hear from me directly. I try to put my updates out there about where I'll be and what I'm doing, but I'd love the follow-up from you all and any type of advice or feedback. But yeah, Mr. DJ is my latest single. It's probably going to be most readily accessible on Spotify and Apple Music and the major outlets, but I will have a link in my bio on my platforms where you can download it yourself there. And yeah, I'll be touring this summer, hopefully overseas, but we're working on domestic dates now, and I'll keep you guys posted.
Great. So, last question. I want a parting shot. So you said that I don't want to die with my gifts. What message
That's right.
do you hope that line sends to artists who've stepped away from their dreams?
Put your music out there. Do your thing. even if you don't have any preconceived expectations, if it's just for fulfillment, do what you do. Make yourself available and accessible. You'd be surprised. If you like it, somebody else will. Don't, take the fear out of it. We're in a new day, a new space. Everybody has to champion their own cause. Do it. I was the most reclusive, fearful person, and I did it, and I have no regrets. Everything is not rosy, but it's not bad either. And you'll be surprised for the things that you'll be surprised to find the good surprises that come from taking a chance. Bet on yourself.
Yep. Wise words from Yvette Michelle. Like you said,
Thank you for being a fan, LaTroy.
back to the glory days.
You legitimized yourself with that vinyl, boy. I tell you, that's some discipline. No cracks. I would love to see if there's scratches on the CDs.
Nah, CDs are good. That's why they stay in the case. They stay in the case.
Thank you.
My wife has wanted me to throw all of my CDs away. I was like, hell no.
That's gonna be worth some money someday. What?
I know,
and
right?
formats might come back the way we're having a hard time calculating streams.
Yep.
That's another thing. Having some knowledge about technology, I'm able to figure out where the fault lines are in some of this stuff. It's like, okay, are we getting paid properly?
Yes.
Because the technology and the removal of actual physical copy is affecting us. It seems like the base pay is in shows only. You're not really making money from unit sales and things like that. So I definitely beseech the fans out there who are listening to pay for those tickets. Go on Klarna or Afterpay and get you some tickets to come see us in concert. That's really how we get a chance to do our thing, feed our children, and keep it going for you all. And plus, it's nostalgic. We're all really excited about being able to get out there again. I'll leave you with this one. I went to see Brandy and Monica by myself just because they are symbolic of the era that I came out in. And I wanted to get a glimpse of a show that is perfected, in this era, with my era of people. And they said the same things I'm saying. I can't believe that y'all came out to see me, us. I'm so grateful for this. I'm a private person after all these years, so you just don't know. And the in-person experience is just, it benefits the artist too, not just the monetary piece, but the soul food. So come outside and see us, y'all.
Yeah. And I'm gonna try to see you. Like when you all make it down here to Miami, or if I'm in Atlanta, I'll be in Atlanta next weekend actually, because my brother lives there. But
nice.
Yeah,
I'll keep you posted.
Yeah, keep me posted.
I'm working on my footprint in the Florida area. I have a fan base there based on the data, but I just haven't gotten the shows going yet. So I'm working with a booking agent now to help me, reach those spaces that I can't reach by myself. So stay tuned. I may be in your neck of the woods soon.
All right. Well, keep me posted.
I will.
Yvette, this has been a pleasure. It was a good time. I told you it was gonna make magic here.
I'm glad that we got a chance to spend uninterrupted time, especially with the bumps in the beginning of our process.
Yeah, I mean, I could have. Well, we're still recording, so I can clown you beforehand. Yeah, you're the tech person that couldn't figure out Riverside.
That's the first thing I told the publicist. I'm supposed to be in tech, and I can't even connect my camera.
And I was telling Kevin, I was like, I hope she comes back on, because I was gonna coach you through it. But it's all good. I'm glad we were able to make it happen. I downloaded the
app, and then he decided to reschedule. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to worry about the browser. The browser kept disconnecting me. And so I knew what to do, but it just wouldn't take. Here we are, though. And I will never delete Riverside Studio now that you've given it such good kudos.
I'm telling you, it's 10 times better than Zoom.
It's better? Okay. Yeah. Well, I take your word for it. You've convinced me.
All right, Queen. Well,
all right.
Thank you for your time.
Well, listen, keep in touch, okay?
I will. Hang tight, though.
I have more to do? I'm sorry.
And for Stop, Look, and Listen, I'm your host, LaTroy Gardner. See you next week. Peace and blessings.